Yo, what's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. You saw the thumbnail, you were curious, that's why you clicked the video. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you about what are you supposed to say to these sellers, right? You pulled your list from PropStream, from PropWire, wherever you got your leads from. You uploaded it to your dialer, or you're about to manually call, but you don't know what to say. Let's go over it. So when you're qualifying lots for purchase, right? You want to think like a builder. So the same questions that a builder would ask you, that's what you want to ask your seller, right? So, and if you have VAs, you can teach your VAs to do this as well. So typically it's not going to be a lot. So it's not like a house where you're confirming lot size, square footage, bed, bath, year built, how old's the roof, how old's the HVAC, all that stuff. No, pretty much what you want to confirm with the seller is going to really be three to four things. The first one, ask, do you own the property outright by yourself? So is there a mortgage still on the lot? And if we open title, are there going to be any long lost cousins, any grandparents, uncles, brothers, sister, whatever, who's going to show up on title that we would need to get their permission as well in order to sell this property, right? And once they say yes, cool. If they say no, cool, whatever. But just that's a question. And that's more so for you and title, right? Because if that happens during title, that's going to slow up the process in order for you to close, because then you would have to get in contact with that person, get either their permission to have them sign a separate agreement, or get them to deed their interest over to whoever you're talking to. So that's why that's important to ask that up front. It's not going to kill the deal, right? But you just need to know these things up front before you start marketing to your end buyers. The second thing is going to be, are there any taxes on the property that you owe? Are you up to date on your taxes? Because again, that can slow up the process when it comes time, everything's going well, but these taxes need to get paid. In some instances, a title company may allow the closing to happen and they just kind of take whatever's owed out of what the seller's proceeds are going to be, or they may want that to be cleared up before they even proceed with the closing. So I think that could kind of be title company to title company. So you just need to communicate with your escrow officer or the assistant escrow officer for something like that. The third thing is going to be, are there any liens? So with land, it's going to be a little bit different because like typically the only really lien that could happen would be like maybe a workman's lien. So if they had somebody cutting their grass and they haven't paid them, that person could probably go do something like that. Maybe the city put a lien on the property if there's like a bunch of debris on it and they're looking for it to get cleaned up. Maybe they could go that route and do something like that. But like it's not going to typically be for like maybe, for instance, a house where you may have had somebody come in and do some work on your roof. You may have had somebody come in and paint, rip up carpets and put in floorboards, and you never paid them for the work. Then they go put a lien on it, with the city. So that's going to be the third thing. And then the fourth is going to just ask them, do you have a survey? And if they don't, that's not going to kill the deal. But like I said, you want to go ahead and ask those questions that the builders are going to ask you, because it's best for you to have an answer versus say, I don't know. And it's like, well, dude, you're not doing your due diligence on the front end. Now, your builder has to wait versus, hey, look, the person owns the property outright. There's no mortgages. They're the actual owner. There's no taxes on the property. There's no liens on the property. And the seller doesn't have a survey, but title is open. I'm just waiting to get the title commitment back to confirm everything that the seller has told me. That conversation with the end buyer lets that person know, okay, this person's serious. All right, they know what to ask, right? So on the back end of that, you do need to make sure that you know if the property's in a flood zone or not. And you could just go to the FEMA flood map for that. If you have any realtor friends, you can just send them the address of the lot. And if they have access to the MLS, which is the multiple listing service, to see the details of the property, it's going to let them know right there if it's in a flood zone or not. I wouldn't say a flood zone is going to kill the deal, but a lot of builders kind of stray away from flood zones. So if it is in a flood zone, it's best because if they ask you, like I said, you don't want to say, I don't know, or, oh, I didn't ask that. You want to come off as like, at least doing the little things right. Like in my opinion, that's the little things. Asking those questions so you know, okay, this is kind of where we are, right? So, I mean, with that being said, that's pretty much what you need to ask a seller when you're wholesaling land. Houses is a completely different thing, right? And I'm not going to go into it. On the high end stuff, like maybe you're talking about the life of the roof, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, foundation. That's kind of going to be the biggest things for the houses. But like I said, I'm not going to go too deep there because on this channel, we're talking land wholesaling, transitioning from land wholesaling to understanding the private lending aspect on the back end side as a builder, and then ultimately stacking your money up to go out, buy your lots, and ultimately start building, right? Every land wholesaler should have the end goal to at least be developing, anywhere between 1 to 3 homes a year. That's really going to kind of retire you from your 9 to 5 and give you, another option in terms of trying to live off of wholesaling land because it is a sales job and it requires long hours, a lot of calls, a lot of, action versus, okay, I'm building one, I'm making 80,000, 120,000 on every home that I build. If I can do 2 a year, that might be able to kind of take me out of my job and shift me into, a different facet of my life. So with that being said, if you want help with this, please just shoot me an email, jump in my land profit program. I'm gonna send you all the docs you need. If you're active in this business and you have these questions, we have a private group chat where you can ask the questions. If you want to hop on a Zoom call, schedule a meeting in my Calendly and we can do the Zoom call that way. If you have certain specific questions, if you started making calls already, started making offers, you want to go over the deals, before you make the offers, or if you feel comfortable, just go ahead and shoot me an email. Let's go ahead and get you active. Let's get you started. If you're looking to start building, maybe you've been wholesaling houses or wholesaling land and did a few fix and flips, but kind of don't know where to start when building, shoot me an email. Let's go ahead. Let's put some work in, guys, and let's get some deals closed. So with that being said, let's go close some deals.